Harry's Wife, Part 104.34, Spare Us. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. We turn to the Express newspaper with an article from Katie Harris that tells us Prince Harry's memoir brutally snubbed in poll as majority say they won't buy copy. Some 55% of respondents said they would not be prepared to shell out for the buck. The majority of Brits will not buy Prince Harry's memoir, new polling suggests. The Duke of Sussex's tell-all book, Spare, is released globally in the new year as the royal family braces itself for revelations, also known as What Harry's Wife Made Me Write. But an exclusive poll by Techne shows 55% of respondents would not be willing to pay for a copy. I bet they wouldn't mind getting out of the library, though, just to have a laugh at its content, or probably will await for serialization in newspapers and, of course, those that make reference to it in social media. The poll of 1,629 British adults carried out from November the 2nd to the 3rd found 30% would shell out for Harry's memoir, 15% were undecided. Royal commentator Richard Fitzwilliams told Express.co.uk the launch of Prince Harry's memoir is likely to be an international event. Apart from the Duke of Windsor, who waited 14 years until 1951 to release A King's Story, there is no precedent for this. The number of people who will actually buy the book is simply one aspect of it. It has not yet been announced if it is to be serialized and if Harry will give interviews before publication. I suppose he could sit there, couldn't he, and talk us through how he peeled the spuds and made them into different potato prints, then added the paints and which his favourite colours were before splodging them into the pages. Then Harry's wife can do the interviews about saying what she told Harry to write. It has reliably been reported that the purpose of the book was primarily commercial, and that it was originally scheduled for this year, that of the Platinum Jubilee for maximum impact. It will be translated into 16 languages, which include French, Spanish, Portuguese, German, Norwegian, bullshit, and potato print. It has also been reported that changes, possibly substantial changes, were made after the Queen's death. Much of the interest assumes that it will be controversial, because the blurb boasts it's raw, well, that's referring to the potatoes, isn't it, and it has unflinching honesty. This one is Jersey Royal, this one is Piper Maris. If so, there may well be a price to pay for its popularity, as it will adversely affect the Sussexes' already rocky relations with the royal family. The polling data shows older people were more likely than their younger counterparts to say they would buy a copy. Some 36% of over 64s said they would get their wallet out, compared to 23% of those aged 18 to 34, which is interesting, of course, because if you remember the observations made by Simon Kellner that suggested that they were more favourable, that the younger people were more favourable towards Harry and Harry's wife, well, that doesn't extend to them purchasing his book, it would seem. So they won't put their money where their mouth is. Tory and Labour backers were fairly equally split, with 34% and 30% respectively saying they would purchase the memoir. Meanwhile, some 32% of Brexiteers and 29% of Remainers were willing to pay for Harry's book. The memoir, of which the title is a reference to the phrase the heir and the spare, was expected to hit bookshelves this autumn. However, there have been reports that the tome was pushed back as the Duke made 11th-hour changes to remove potentially damaging material following the death of his grandmother, the late Queen. The highly anticipated book will be published by Penguin Random House. The publisher said in a statement last month, Spare takes readers immediately back to one of the most searing images of the 20th century. Two young boys, two princes, walking behind their mother's coffin as the world watched in sorrow and horror. As Diana, Princess of Wales, was laid to rest, billions wondered what the princes must be thinking and feeling, and how their lives would play out from that point on. For Harry, this is his story at last. With its raw, unflinching honesty, Spare is a landmark publication, full of what Harry's wife has to say, full of insight, revelation, self-examination, and hard-won wisdom about the eternal power of love over grief. Wonder where that came from. It comes as Harry and Harry's wife are living in the United States after quitting royal duties in 2020. The Sussexes, who have set up home in California, made a series of bombshell claims about the monarchy in their Oprah Winfrey interview last March. The royals will no doubt be braced for further revelations from the Duke, who has been embroiled in rifts with his father, King Charles, and older brother, Prince William. When Harry announced plans for his book in 2021, he said he was writing it not as the prince I was born, but as the simp I have become. What is reaction to this bombshell information about this poll? What do those below the line think about it all? Are they willing to shell out for it? What are their observations about its content? Well, dipping below the line, Rosie36. Why would we need to buy Harry's book? Once it hits the shelves, every tiny detail will be plastered all over the media. It will be regurgitated again and again. We won't be able to get away from it. Cost a cheer. I wouldn't waste my money on this book full of woe is me. Harry isn't the only child to have lost a parent. Harry is lucky he didn't end up in the care system. This book has been written by me, and is out to destroy our monarchy. The fact he was prepared to release this while his grandmother was still alive shows how cold and dangerous he is. Actually, it doesn't. It shows how dim-witted he is and how easily puppeteered he is. I will instead donate £28 to the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales. Boom. Wounding. The Monty Shit Show duo need to shut up and leave us alone. Pilfoy. This book is like more than Harry's wife trying to make sure that Harry is as alienated from his family as she is from hers. Let's give this duplicitous duo the privacy they claim they wanted and let them stew in their own rejection. I have little respect for anyone who turns on their family. Ex-military expat. People have got better things to spend their money on than a book full of lies, accusations, allegations, twisted truths, and a parade of whinging, whining, grizzling, and self-pity. Texas Rose. Sorry, Harry, I have absolutely no interest in you, your wife, or the book. Grow up. The J-Man. I wouldn't buy it from the pound shop. The only connection Ginger has to this book is his hairbrushed picture on the front cover. Everything else was dictated by Mimi to a ghostwriter. Ginger hasn't the intelligence or charisma to write his name. All the years in private education and the army were wasted upon him. Bit of a flavour, isn't there, of people recognising that it's basically her that's dictating the content of it, which of course is entirely commensurate with the interfering nature of a narcissist who has to engage in the assertion of control and has no boundary recognition and operates with a sense of entitlement. Ex-Brit in Canada. One of the most searing images of the 20th century? I think searing images were Hiroshima, D-Day, the Berlin Wall, the Twin Towers, Aberfan, Lockerbie. Diana's death was sad. She was too young, but her son, her former husband, and other family members paying tribute by walking behind her casket is not a searing image. It was sad and memorable. Many people so very proud of the young princes, but a bit of an overstatement. Laurie366. This is because we've got more important things to think about than this miserable, greedy, revengeful pipsqueak. Ex-Brit in Canada. I'm pretty sure that Prince Winer was brought up the same way, but Migraine's way is keep spreading the news. I mean the lies. Again, demonstrating how people see what's really going on here. Maggie the Cat. Nobody cares about the lying traitor. GMP5. We work hard for the money that comes into our household, and there's absolutely no way we'd spend one penny of that for the trash which will be told about our royal family. But there's more, because the Guardian newspaper tells us independent booksellers unimpressed by Prince Harry memoir being sold at half price. Prince Harry's forthcoming memoir, Spare, is unlikely to be championed by independent bookshops because of how heavily it's been discounted by larger retailers, according to booksellers. Spare will be published on the 10th of January. Sarah Shafi writes, by Penguin Random House, with the recommended retail price set at £28. However, it is already being offered at a discount by Waterstones, Foyles and Amazon, all of which are selling it for £14. Even at pre-order stage, the book is in the top 10 in Amazon's bestsellers list. Amanda Truman from Truman Books in Pudsey said that while the shop would be stocking it as an independent bookshop, it's hard to get excited about a book when you see chain bookshops advertising it at 50% off within minutes of the publication announcement. We will not be championing a book that publishers allow to be sold at a cheaper price than we can buy it for. The Caution Bookshop in Wiltshire will be ordering 1 or 2 copies of Spare for stock. I'm not sure how many we will sell, mainly because it's being heavily discounted by Amazon and we don't discount books, said owner Janet Brackspear. The shop won't be doing anything special for the release. She added, that said, Brackspear thinks one benefit of Spare being released in January is that the month is usually a pretty quiet time in the book trade, except for the usual get fit, get thin, change your life, new year kind of books. So it's nice to know there is something that will generate interest to bring people into the shop. So, not only is it having its price cut, the independent booksellers aren't particularly interested in it, and as you can tell, it's roundly criticised in the comments section. And people see it for what it is, a vehicle of Harry's wife, which of course is entirely correct, because she won't be able to keep her nose out, that she's encouraged him to write this in order to assert control over the royal family by proxy and for the purpose of the residual benefit of the money that he's going to receive. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.